Alright, so, this is a video that I've been meaning to get to because it was voted on. I just haven't had enough time. And yeah, this was kind of brought on when I was watching just marathoning old classic Looney Tunes cartoons, and I thought this would be a little fun to do. Like, I thought this would just be a fun, wacky idea that I sometimes like to go out of pocket sometimes. On occasion, I like to do something just a wee bit out of pocket. But and this was voted on in a poll over on my Patreon, which if you guys would like to join over on the Patreons, as well as check out the movie requests, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon. You guys hit the first tier, start interacting with polls that affect videos here on YouTube, as well as over there on Patreon, as well as you guys can have access to movie reviews whenever I do them. That's where my Transformers Rise of the Beast review is, that's where my Dungeons & Dragons review is, as well as Shazam. That's where my Indiana Jones review will be when that movie comes out. But yeah. So this was a poll just out of the blue. I was like, hey, Looney Tunes crossover. Who would you want to see that crossover with? And the reason why I kind of held off on it was not just because I was busy, but the other thing was, for the longest time, it was in a stalemate. Like, it was in a straight-up stalemate between three. And normally, whenever there's a tie, there's like an icebreaker. There's usually like I have to play tiebreaker and pick the one I want to do the most out of the ones that are winning. But here it was like, there's three. There's no way I'm gonna be able to pick one. So I'm just gonna wait until one wins. And well, one did win by 33% of the vote, and that is Steven Universe. So here we are with a Steven Universe Looney Tunes crossover, which in theory, the weird thing is that this could work because they're both under Warner Brothers. So, like I said, like in theory, this could actually happen. That's the funny part in all of this, is that it could actually be like a legit thing that we could see. Now, as to how this crossover would work, it's going to play out more like a Looney Tunes cartoon. So this is set in between Steven Universe and Steven Universe Future, where in this story, the Gems are planning to create Little Homeworld. Like, this is the ground stage for Little Homeworld. And Steven for the day is out. He's been kind of stressed out of planning everything out, and he's just kind of stressed out. So Connie offers to take him for a date for the weekend. Meanwhile, the Crystal Gems swear that they'll oversee they will oversee. They'll basically oversee everything, and that's the idea. They'll start laying groundwork and whatever, and Pearl is of course taking charge, because of course Pearl would be taking charge of a situation like this. And she's like, "Oh please, how hard could this be?" So as they're setting up, Pearl stumbles upon a hole in the ground, and she's like, "Oh, it must be one of the terrestrial Earth creatures," and it's Bugs Bunny's hole. Bugs pops out of the hole and is like, "Nee, what's up, Dak?" And to which Pearl is like, "Talking rabbit, I didn't expect that. But to answer your question, I am no doctor. I am Pearl of the Crystal Gems, and you will have to vacate." And he's like, "Well, yeah? Why are you gonna make me vacate my vacation home?" He's like, I got some nice beachside property here, Mac. I don't know why you'd make me want to leave." And to which Pearl is like, "Well, you see, you don't own the land. We do. This is territory given to us by the people of Beach City, so I'm afraid you'll have to go. And last I checked, Earth rabbits don't have rights, whether they're talking or not." And he's like, "Well, I ain't going, so I don't mind the neighbors, so bye." And to which Pearl is like, he goes back into his hole. Pearl, out of it, just completely angry and incensed that someone just dared to talk back to her, it says, "Amethyst, do you have a smoke bomb in your gem?" He's like, "Right here." And she's like, "Yeah, right here." So she throws it down there, and it blows up, and Bugs just crawls out of there coughing and gagging, and he's like, "Of course you realize this means war." And from there, it just gets bad. Because the first thing Bugs does is his first opening salvo is being like, "Well, I'll tell you one thing. Hey, look at that. And Pearl's like, what? Look at what? Yeah, look at this. Oh, you wouldn't like it. And she's like, no, let me have it. Are you sure, Doc? Yes, let me have it. Okay, you asked for it. And hits her in the head with a mallet. So it just becomes full-on war between Bugs and Pearl. Pearl actually, like, throws a spear at him, throws her weapon at him, and it misses entirely. Because Bugs just splits his ears down and it hits the tree behind him. From there, Pearl is like, the other crystal, like Garnet and Amethyst, offer to get involved in this whole conflict, and she's like, please, a single rabbit, whether talking or not, is not going to best me. And that's when they get a knock on the door, and it's Bugs dressed as a mailman. Is like, telegram for Pearl. Ooh, that's strange. I didn't have a telegram from anyone. She opens it up, it explodes in her face. And she's just like, Amethyst is about to say something, and she goes, not a word, Amethyst! Not a word! And it just kind of spirals into your classic Looney Tunes cartoon, where Pearl just decides to buy a bunch of explosives and stuff them down Bugs' hole, only to realize Bugs isn't there, and she's trying to use like an old detonator, like the old push-down levers, and she's just laughing hysterically because like, this time I'll kill him. I'll make rabbit stew out of him, and I don't even eat human food. And he's like, wow, it's really impressive there, Doc. And she's like, I know, it's so... Why? She's just looking at it back and forth, and she's like, wait, if you're here, what about all the explosives over there? He's like, oh yeah, I moved those somewhere else. Seemed like, you know, you could, that big statue was blocking my view. And she's like, statue! And she runs over and sees that all the dynamite has just been placed on the statue, so she's like, and it's already, the fuse is going down, so she's like desperately running away, carrying all the explosives, and as it runs far away, it just explodes. She's like, over the horizon, you just hear, poof! And by that point, Pearl's back to her gem form, and Garnet and Amethyst are like, I don't suppose we could just ask you nicely to let us have some space? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. What about Shiny over there? And she's like, oh, don't worry, she'll heal up. Alright. So from there, they build little homeworld, and on the far side, there's Bugs' little vacation hole. And he's just like, well, always nice to meet the neighbors. So yeah, it's just a random little idea of having Bugs Bunny versus Pearl. It's a ridiculous idea. I don't normally do these because there's, like, some people are just like, do this, and this with the Looney Tunes. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But because I watched a bunch of Looney Tunes, I was like, you know what? Just for one of these few times, I'm going to be a little random. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this little fan fiction idea? Did you guys like it, hate it? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.